Hey, what's going on everyone? It's me, Mr. Mario, and I was kind of prompted to make this video because I've been seeing a lot of news and announcements about classic systems. You see, last year with the Nintendo Classic or the NES Classic, whatever he wants to call it, a lot of people got on me for saying NES, but when I say that, you know what I'm talking about. With that coming out last year, you know, it was extremely popular, super sought after, still sought after to this day. Not only just, you know, for the form factor, the collectability, but the playability standpoint, and also the modability of it as well, too, and that's a lot of abilities right there. But the point is on that, it was a very sought after system, still is a sought after system. Now with the Super Nintendo Classic coming out, the rumors of the N64 Classic being patented and coming out at one point, and now, you know, with Atari's flashback system, or not flashback, but their Atari box system coming out, I was thinking if I could pick a system, make a classic version out of it, so to speak, and then put games on it, what would I do it with? Now, if I had to pick one system, it would probably be this thing right here, the original PlayStation. Now, for anybody who has seen any of my other videos or they know a little bit about me, or specifically the one where I unboxed one of these, yes, I unboxed a PlayStation. I'd recommend checking that one out. I said that the PlayStation, the original one right here, is one of my all-time favorite systems, if not my all-time favorite system. And I absolutely love this thing. I love, you know, just... I would just look at this thing and I'm just hit with a little bit of a wave of nostalgia. I just love the system still to this day. Yes, the PS2 is, you know, technically the better system and it can play all the PS1 games. Totally understand that as well, but I don't know, there's something just with the original PlayStation. So my thinking would be, if I was in charge of this, you know, I would take one of these original PlayStations, make a classic version out of it, and my basis for this is, I was going to assume that it was a PlayStation, it could have a form factor, which I was even thinking another thing, if it had something like this, because I don't think it would be this big, it would probably be a smaller version, and I'd have to say that even though this is the one that would hit everyone with nostalgia, it seems that this system would already be the PS1, would be the one that would be more optimal as is form factor for a classic variation of the system. So, if something was to come out, it might be like this, although they would probably take something like this and just shrink it down. And I'm assuming it would not use any memory cards. The controllers, they would just be like USB DualShock type controllers, and then there'd be games on the system. You wouldn't be able to upgrade it. You wouldn't be able to put in an SD card. I'm not including modding in this because that's a whole other thing right there. But my basis was take a PlayStation, one of these things, and what could we do with it? Like, my idea would be take one of these, shrink it down, you know, USB type controllers, don't have any expandable memory on there, have 30 games on the system and sell it for like 80 bucks or so, because that's what the Super Nintendo Classic is selling for. And another thing is, the games that I've picked out, they don't have to be console exclusives, so... And another thing is, the games I've picked out don't have to be console exclusives. The games I picked out, to me, just kind of screamed PlayStation. And a lot of them are multi-platform games, but they were known for, you know, either being rooted on PlayStation or really being popularized on the original PlayStation. So, without further ado, I've kind of, you know, put out my basis right there. What would I pick? So, as I said, I have 30 games, I have 30 slots to fill. What am I going to fill those with? And some of them are going to be, I feel like, a little bit surprising. And this is not just my favorite 30 games. It's far from that. If I was just throwing my favorite 30 games on there, this would be a different list. But I'll explain why I pick each one of these right here. For my first 3 slots, yes, 3, I would pick, I'm using this as a placeholder, but I would pick Resident Evil 2, and Resident Evil 3. For the Resident Evil games, well, Resident Evil 1 and 2, put the DualShock enabled versions on there. Not only they're the more sought after ones, they have some little extras, some other little secrets, all that other fun stuff. So right here, I'm just utilizing as my placeholder the Resident Evil 2 version. But no, I think it would be awesome to have all 3 of those on there. Yes, there's the other games such as Resident Evil Survivor, and I don't remember if there was any others on the original PlayStation. I might be getting it confused with PlayStation 2. But I was thinking, even for some of the games where I pick, you know, multi-series on there, just pick the mainstays. So Resident Evil 1, that was iconic for really being popularized and started out on the PlayStation. Yes, it came out on the Saturn as well too, but it was known on the PlayStation. And then these are all great games. They're all very rooted with survival horror fans and even people that might just want to check it out. So one way to win those people over, put the first 3 Resident Evil games, the DualShock variations of them, on the PlayStation Classic. Next up, my next 3 titles, so 4, 5, and 6. What would I pick? Well, I would also pick Crash 1, 2, and 3. Yes, we do have the remaster, and yes, another thing is, I understand that most of these games can be played, they can be emulated, they can be played on and purchased on, you know, a PS3, soon to be maybe even PS4 as well too. But with that logic as well, too, I mean, you could also argue the existence of the Nintendo and Super Nintendo Classic, since you could do the same thing on those. Again, this is just kind of building up this right here. I'm not trying to factor in other things. But the point is, this is another staple series that was exclusive on PlayStation as well, and I think having the first three would be great. The first one, you have your roots in there, and the second one, of course, expanded upon it. The third one is the one that everybody really, really enjoys, but I think it would be great to just have all three on there. Yes, there was also Crash Team Racing and Crash Bash, and I'm going to get to those in a little bit, but I want to have the mainstay series on here. If people, like, let's say if this thing does come out, I'm imagining a perfect world where this thing does come out, if people are really interested in the other ones and those spin-off games, they can go and pick them up later and either emulate them or play them on a PS3 or whatever they want to do. But I think I would put the next, the next slots would be the first three Crash Bandicoot games. For the next three slots after that, you see this list at the beginning was pretty easy to figure out. 7, 8, and 9 would be for Spyro 1, 2, and 3, because, again, this is a classic series that was rooted on the PlayStation, still exclusive on there. The first three games were exclusives on there, and there was no spin-off, so you have the entire Spyro series on here, which really gets no love at this point. There's been Skylanders, which is a bit of an abomination when it comes to, true Spyro, but then on top of that as well, we haven't seen a remaster or anything else. Maybe because of the Crash remaster we could see a Spyro remaster, but you can still only really pick up the originals, which is why I would want Spyro 1, 2, and 3 on the original PlayStation, because Spyro skateboarding was lit, I'll tell you that. And this is the last, trilogy chunk of games I would put in, but for slots 10, 11, and 12, I would put in Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9. Why? Because, again, these are extremely known for being on the PlayStation. I mean, this was they were exclusives for a long time, until they started getting ported over to PC and such, and I don't remember I think Final Fantasy VII later on did come out on PC, but it came out in several iterations as well, like a physical copy. I don't remember 100%, but the point is it was known for being on PlayStation. Of course, Final Fantasy VII, tons of people bought a PlayStation just to play Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VIII I was never crazy about, honestly. But Final Fantasy IX I loved, so 7 and 9 I absolutely loved. I think it would be great to have those on the PlayStation, because those are the games that were really known on there. Put them on the PS1 Classic. I think those would be great ones to have. Now for the next two slots, yes, I know, I finished up the trilogies right there, but this one I just wanted to put both of them on the system. For my next two slots, so 13 and 14, this is a series that I absolutely loved. It only got 2 games. I'm not including the PSP remake of it, which I felt like was good, but it really hasn't gotten that much love, aside from being a cameo character here and there, which is really disappointing. But I would want Medieval 1 and 2 on the original PlayStation, for the PS1 Classic, whatever we're calling it here, because these are excellent games. I also have I also have Medieval 1 sitting around here, but I'm only grabbing this as a placeholder. These are fantastic games. They're super fun to play, and from what I know, especially Medieval 2, this is a bit harder to find. So I think the reason why I'm putting this on here is because it's a series that many people who grew up with the PlayStation or are aware of it know about it. They know about these 2 games. They appreciate them, but not as many people, I feel like, who should know about them really know about them or have played them. So this can introduce a new audience to those games and maybe get some buzz around them as well too. Maybe we can get another remake, maybe we can get another game, I don't know, but I look at games like this and I just think of the originality that was on the PlayStation that I absolutely love. Like they were going out of their way to try for that, which I really appreciate. So Medieval 1 and 2, those are the games that I would want for slots 13 and 14. Now for slot 15, yes, this is only one game right here. Rayman. Honestly, I'm not the biggest Rayman fan. I do appreciate it, I do enjoy the game, but I'm not a crazy Rayman fan. The reason why I'm talking Rayman right here is because there are a lot of people that associate Rayman with the PlayStation 1. You put this on here, it's a simple game, it's a fun game, most people are going to like it. I don't think there's going to be much of an issue putting Rayman on the Classic. So now we need to get a little bit serious. We have finished half the list, so what are the other 15 games going to be? And with that serious tone of events and change right here, I picked an equally serious game. Metal Gear Solid. This is another game. Classic, iconic game that is on the original PlayStation. Fantastic game. If you have not played this, I highly recommend playing it. I was actually... I'll say I was kind of mad when I played it, because I didn't actually finish this game, admittedly, because I played it plenty of times when I was younger, but I never finished it. But I didn't finish it until 2015, and the reason why I say I was mad about that was because this game that I played from 1998, when I played it in 2015, start to finish, it was better than most games I had played in recent history at that time. And I'm like, how is it a game from the last millennium is so much better than any game I could think of in recent memory? This is a fantastic game right here. Absolutely love it. There's also VR missions as well, too. It's like, I could do without that on the PlayStation. That's fine. But definitely put this on here. You need a good story-driven game, and I feel like it would be very much appreciated. Now, this one I was kind of on the fence about. By on the fence, I meant I couldn't really pick which one I would want to, but I picked Tenchu for my next slot, so slot number 16. But the reason why I'm grabbing Tenchu 2 is because I figured I don't feel like both Tenchu games need to be on the PlayStation. Tenchu 1 was great. I don't have as many memories with Tenchu 2. But here's the thing, Tenchu 2, it's a newer game, it's more refined, it has the level editor as well too, it has many more features that the first one didn't have. So I feel like it would be more beneficial to have Tenchu 2 on the PlayStation Classic as opposed to the original one. But if they want to throw both of them on there, cool, but that is my slot pick for number 16. Are we on 16? No, we're on 17. I can't count. 18, one of my all-time favorite games. Iconic game on PlayStation as well too. Silent Hill. Love this game. Absolutely love this game. Last year, actually, in 2016, I beat this game twice, back-to-back both times, and it was terrifying, and I loved it so much. I got the good plus ending, and then right after that, I got the UFO ending. Such a good game. It has not aged well, I will say that. And part of it as well, too, is one thing that made me feel good was when I was talking about, because like around the time I played this, I was talking with people about, you know, specs and comparisons with all the new game systems and the new iterations coming out. And I had said, you know, some people can say that I'm being a frame rate snob or resolution snob. I played this game in 2016, and this game slows down to like 10 frames a second, right? I played through it twice. That actually makes it a bit more terrifying. Because of how poor the performance is, sometimes it's terrifying when you can barely see anything and there's these monsters attacking you and you're just going at a slow crawl. Silent Hill for my pick right there. I would love to have Silent Hill on the system. Next game here at number 19, Chrono Cross. Wanted to put this RPG on here because, yes, there was a remastered Chrono Trigger on the PlayStation, and it was released in the, I think, Anthology pack? Or, no, the Final Fantasy Chronicles pack. But that's more of a Super Nintendo game, you know? Like, I don't really want to put a remake on the PS1 Classic. I want to put an original PS1 game on the PS1 Classic, which is why I picked this. Excellent RPG. Many people have fond memories and nostalgia with it. Put this on there. I think this would be a great addition. And now we're at number 20, so getting 2/3 of the way into the system right here. Xenogears. A game that is, several of these games as well too are sought after, valuable and all that, and I've kind of thought of that as well too. Because I'm not just trying to throw the most expensive games or the most sought after value games on there, but there are several games like this where I'm assuming if this was released, and in a perfect world, again, if Sony produced enough of these, the value on these originals right here would start to go down a little bit because there'd be less interest in picking them up. So that way you can kind of disrupt the market a little bit, which I don't mind that much. Yeah, I mean, I could be one of those people that's getting angry and saying, what? This game's not worth as much as it used to be, but, I mean, I collect games for fun, and I collect games because I want to play them, not really because I'm trying to flip them. So if the value in these games go down, that just means that I can pick up more of them for less money, which would be great. But anyways, Xenogears. Excellent title, highly revered game on the original PlayStation, and especially, you know, with Xenoblade Chronicles, Xenoblade Chronicles X, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 coming out, I think it'd be good to have this as well. This is assuming, let's say, if the system does come out, it comes out, like, next year or something like that. I think that'd be a really neat addition. So, Xenogears, put it on there. I think that'd be great for our number 20 slot. 21, a game that probably not that many people know about, and that's why I put it on there. Blasto. It's a cheap game. It's not rare. It's not really uncommon, I would say. But the reason why I'm putting this on is because it is a PS1 exclusive, and it's a great game. It's funny, it's weird, it's witty, and there's nothing really like it out there. That's why I picked it, because I think it would be good to get this game some more exposure. So put this on the system. You know, it's kind of one of those common games that you could throw out on there. Yeah, again, it's not super... I just talked about the value of games. It's not a valuable game by any means. Look how much I paid for it. It's not a valuable game. But get it out there so it can get a new audience and get some new life into it and get rediscovered, so to speak. Because there's not a lot of people that are, you know, searching for this game. So Blasto would be my number 21 slot. For number 22, unfortunately, I don't have a full physical copy of this game, which is kind of annoying, but Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Iconic game, one of the best 2D side-scrollers out there. People love it. Put it on there. I don't think I have to say much else about it. It's a classic, man. Put it on there. I think that'd be a good choice. For my next game, there's actually a couple. And they go together. They're both valuable. They're both very sought after. People want to play them. There's demand for them. For 23 and 24, Mega Man Legends, Mega Man Legends 2. This one's more valuable than this one right here. But put both these on. Mega Man Legends is great, don't get me wrong. Like, I enjoy the game, but you play it and it's kind of dated. This one, I mean, I felt like it was just the better game all around. Better story, better controls, better graphics, better everything. But I still would love to have the first one on there. So put both of these on. And this would be another game, especially this one right here. You put it on the PS1 Classic, you produce enough of those, it will disrupt the market and bring the value of this down. So, you know, it wouldn't be as expensive as it normally is. But I think these would be solid contenders for slots on the PS1 Classic. And speaking of another one, this is one of the more expensive games I'd be putting on there. So expensive that I don't have it. But The Misadventures of Tron Bonne. Why? Because it fits in with that. It's another very sought after, great game, expensive title that a lot of people wants to get and a lot of people really can't buy, and the availability is kind of iffy on it. Put that on there as well, too. Of course, I know there's going to be some people that say, oh, they can't do it because of this reason. Again, I'm imagining in a perfect world, all these games get on there. So, Misadventures of Tron Bonne, that would be another excellent addition to have. So now we only have 5 more games. 5 more. What are my next 5 going to be? Well, my next one, again, unfortunately, I don't have a physical copy of it. I'm pretty sure I am pretty sure I've owned this at one point. I know I've played through it, but I don't know if I still own it, and if I do, it's probably at my parents' house. Parappa the Rapper. I know this game just got remade on PS4, it was remade on the PSP, and I think the Classic is available as well too, but this is a Classic for the PlayStation 1. The only issue that I could see with this is that the emulation, because I'm assuming this would be an emulated console, like it's not going to use discs, the emulation has to be really spot on so that there's little to... It's going to be impossible to have no input delay or input lag, but there has to be as little as possible, because that game was hard. So I feel like the issue that people had with Parappa on PS4 is going to happen on this as well too, where people are just going to say it's an insanely hard game. And it was never an easy game to begin with, but the fact that people would be using, you know, LCD and LED TVs and all this stuff that have that delay on there, they don't have their settings set up properly, it's going to bring in a new challenge. So this would be a challenging one, but put it in there just because of how much of a classic it is. For my next slot, we're going to be doing number 27, and I own this game, I swear I do. I just don't have it with me. This is one of them I know is at my parents' house, so I had to use another one from the series as a placeholder. Pretend this is 2. Twisted Metal 2. The reason why I'm picking this is because the first Twisted Metal was not really that good. Not that many people like Twisted Metal Small Brawl. That's not really a classic that triggers in people's heads. And then 3 and 4 are pretty universally panned. I enjoyed them, but 2 is the one that people think of. Like, that is purely a nostalgia move right there. Yes, Twisted Metal is a staple in the PlayStation family as a whole, but when you think of some, like when people are thinking of the nostalgia right there, they think, oh man, Twisted Metal 2. Oh, Twisted Metal 2. And the funny thing is, a few years ago, I actually played Twisted Metal 2, and it's another game like Silent Hill, like Silent Hill. I almost said Silent Hill 2. Now, the funny thing is, a few years ago, I actually played some of Twisted Metal 2 with a friend, and like Silent Hill, it has not aged well, like, at all. It is a ugly game, it is clunky, it is, like, slow, like, frame rate is so bad on there, so I think people would be in for a rude awakening, but if this thing was being produced, if Twisted Metal was not on there, people would flip out, so Twisted Metal 2 would be my choice for that. For number 28, I want to put a Wipeout game on there. To be honest, I don't really know which one. This is Wipeout... Is this 2? Here's the thing, I really don't know if this would be Wipeout or if it would be Wipeout 2 right there. But either way, take a Wipeout game, just, I don't know, people can kind of choose what the best one would be, and put that on the PS1 Classic. For number 29, this will be an odd one, and I'll explain. The odd one being is that I'm picking a sequel, but Fear Effect 2 Retro Helix, I believe that's, or, yeah, Retro Helix. This is the one I would pick. The reason why I'm picking Fear Effect 2 is because this is the newer one, because there was Fear Effect and Fear Effect 2. This is the newer one, it's more refined, it's going to have the better controls, it's also a prequel. Yes, if you don't know anything about the series, there was Fear Effect, and then Fear Effect 2 is the prequel to Fear Effect. So that way, this is actually the optimal one to play if you're trying to get into the series. So that way, you put this on there, people play it, and if they like it, they'll try and track down the first one, and the first one ends up being a sequel. Isn't that funny? Isn't that... Yeah, no, that's why I would pick Fear Effect 2 for my slot number 29 on there. This is another really iconic game that people really have a lot of fond nostalgia for and a lot of appreciation for. I love the series as well, so Fear Effect 2. Now for my very last title, what am I picking? Well, I'm actually picking a game that, again, is sought after, is pretty acclaimed, but I don't have that much of a... I have no nostalgia towards it, and I don't have that much experience with it. I don't own it either because it's also a very valuable game, which would be Team Buddies. The reason why I'm saying this is because it's a wacky, fun, crazy multiplayer game that everyone who's played it has really enjoyed it. And again, when it comes to value of it, it's a very valuable PlayStation game. You put this on there, you make enough copies of it, the value of the original is going to come down, and more people will be exposed to this game right here. This is another game that was just one of them on the PlayStation, and that's about it. I think it would be a fun multiplayer game. With the system also, I forgot this little detail, I would like 2 controllers bundled with the system, 2 USB controllers, and if there's any games out of these right here, which I'm looking and I'm really not seeing, okay, I'm not seeing anything that would be 4-player. I was thinking if there was like 4-player stuff, because hold on, wait a minute, is that, I can't even check Twisted Metal, but let's see, like Twisted Metal 3, I don't know if Twisted Metal 2 would be multiplayer on there, but put 2 USB slots on there, possibly the expansion to 4, that'd be cool, but I think it'd be cool to include 2 controllers on there just for the multiplayer games if you have any that are available, so you could do that if you want to. I think that'd be neat to have, and just kind of a common courtesy on there as well, too. Now when it comes to honorable mentions, there were a lot of games. As I said, this is kind of just a list that I put together. I was like, yeah, this would be cool, this would be cool, this would be cool, and I explained them all for various different reasons. But for honorable mentions, one of them that I actually don't have right here and I don't feel like grabbing, Ballerina Toshinden. That would be pretty neat to see on there if it was possible. Kind of a dated 3D fighter, but a original 3D fighter nonetheless that people have nostalgia for. Destruction Derby would be another neat one as well too. And then for the games that I actually have right here, Final Fantasy Tactics. I actually thought really hard about putting this one on there. I was like, no, let's just put the mainstay Final Fantasy games on there, and Tactics is a maybe on that. I actually don't have a whole lot of experience with this, but the people that love it absolutely love it, so maybe people can somehow weasel it in there. Hey, if this comes out and people figure out how to mod it, you can put this on there with no issue. Next game, Brave Fencer Musashi. Fun game, great game, also another excellent game from Squaresoft known as Square Enix. This is also another game I thought of putting on there, but I was like, no, I'm not sure where it can go. A lot of these I'm kind of throwing on there. I'm like, yeah, this would have been neat, but we'll see. Another one right here. Sound like DJ Khaled. Tekken. I would probably be more partial to Tekken 3 despite Tekken 2 having more of the nostalgia factor on it. But the reason why I didn't put this on is because, I don't know, this didn't really feel like a fighter system to me, you know what I mean? There's a lot of, just RPGs, because the PlayStation was RPG heavy, and I know I put a lot of RPGs on there, but especially a fighter, I kind of thought of it from a technical standpoint. If this is being emulated, people who are kind of hardcore into this, they're not really going to want to play Tekken on there. They're going to mess around with it for a few minutes, maybe like an hour or two, but they're going to want to play on the original one if they're going to be doing anything serious or they're trying to fight competitively. So I didn't feel like this was very much a fighter classic system, but if I could choose one, probably Tekken 3 is the one I'd put on there. Fun game right here. This would be totally deserving of a multi-tap. Crash Bash. The reason why I did not put Crash Bash on there is because I wanted the main Crash series on there. Crash 1, 2, and 3, I didn't want to put Team Racing or Bash on there. Although this is a fun game, don't get me wrong. Loaded. I have nostalgia for this game. I enjoy it. It is an awesome game. But man, does it make your fingers hurt. I'll tell you that. And it doesn't have DualShock support either. Those are kind of the 2 things I was thinking of. It will really cramp up your fingers, and it doesn't have proper DualShock support. I don't think a lot of people would like it. I even tried to go out of my way, and I looked at the box for the sequel called Reloaded. That doesn't have DualShock support either. That was kind of the main breaking point to me on there, honestly. So I know some people are going to argue that Twisted Metal 2 doesn't have DualShock support. Well, here's the thing. And also Crash Bandicoot, the original one. Point is on here, Crash Bandicoot, Twisted Metal, those are huge staples in the PlayStation family of original games. Loaded and Reloaded, not so much. Not so much. People would look at this and be like, why the hell is that on there? Of course, they could say that for Blasto, but I think Blasto has more of a fighting chance than Loaded or Reloaded. And also, if there was a new person playing this game, they would probably not be too wowed by it. The Saga Frontier series, or Saga Frontier 1 or 2, or both, you can put them on there. I actually don't own the first one, but I own 2 copies of the second one for some reason. Weird. This is another good contender I felt like could be on there. Oh man, this was Parasite Eve. I didn't know where I could put it. I didn't know if I could put it. But Parasite Eve or Parasite Eve 2 or both of them, fantastic games. The second one's better in my opinion, but another very good honorable mention. And finally, any of the Oddworld games right here. I have Oddworld Abe's Exodus. There's also Abe's Odyssey. I think either of those could have been good contenders. So, Abe's Odyssey was actually remade as like Oddworld New and Tasty, I believe. I actually own a physical copy of it on PS4 as well too. But this is my last honorable mention on that. So that is my list of games. Those are my honorable mentions. Those are my thoughts on the system. As I said, these 30 games I think would be good for various different reasons. I think some can be removed, some could be added on. I almost feel like 30 might be too much in a way. I feel like they'd probably release a system with 20 games. Again, if they released the system in a smaller form factor, made USB DualShock controllers, released it for 80 bucks, bundled in a second one in there, which the second one's kind of optional. I think it's more of a common courtesy, but I think that'd be a great system. But anyways, now let me know what you all think of this as well too. Do you think this would be a good list? Do you think that'd be a good idea? What would you want on your own PS1 Classic? Or if you don't even want a PS1 Classic, pick a system that you want to make a classic of, and what games do you want on there? Anyways, this is Mr. Mario signing off. Thank you all for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, a like would very much be appreciated. If you absolutely hated it, a dislike is fine too. I'm gonna sneeze because there's just this sneeze that's been trying to make its way out of my nose for the past 30 seconds. Oh boy.